Hi, everyone. I'm Scott Brandley.
And I'm Alicia Coakley. Every member of the church has a story to share, one that can instill faith, invite growth, and inspire others.
On today's episode, we're going to hear how one woman's journey to attend the temple taught her about the importance of connecting with those on the other side of the veil. Welcome to Latter-day Lights. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Latter-day Lights. We're so glad you're here with us today, and we're really excited to introduce our guest, Jan Berger. Jan, how are you doing?
I'm good.
Good.
Yeah, we're so excited to have you, Jan. I know you reached out to us a little while ago. I'm curious, how did you come across Latter-day Lights?
For me, I felt like it just happened that I started watching you guys and I was uplifted by the people that you had come on. It was very uplifting. And I started watching and I felt like I needed to make a connection with you. And I'm like, that's ridiculous. And I'm learning that I need to act upon the spirit when it guides you.
Yeah. So you've never done anything like this? You've never done a
No.
podcast or anything?
No.
Firesides? Do you like giving talks in church?
No. This was a tough one, but I was like, go with the inspiration.
There you go.
And I've been really worried about it.
Oh.
What did your husband think when you told him, I'm going to be on a podcast?
He thought I was ridiculous. And he's probably very right. But my thought has been there are people who think things that maybe they ought to share.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, exactly.
Yep.
That's
wink,
why
wink,
we do
nudge,
this.
Nudge to all of our listeners out there
Yes,
who are starting to feel the little tingling.
I think they should think about it, even if they think, oh, I should share your thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. That's awesome. Well, aside from not liking public speaking, why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself, Jan?
Most people know me from sports.
Okay.
And most of the people that would see this that know me, it's because of sports. I love sports and I ran our stake sports. And then we did regional sports. And it was so nice getting to know the people in the programs.
Aw.
So I just love that connection.
Like every sport, or are there certain ones that you like more than others?
I like all sports, but I played basketball in high school. And then the coach was thinking we all needed to get matching this and matching that. And I'm like, sorry, that's not me. Mine's about playing ball. And so my sister ended up getting multiple sclerosis. And we were tight on money. So I was like, I'm not playing. So I quit playing basketball and I thought, I went 1 year without it and it drove me nuts. Aww. So I thought I need to learn how to play soccer because a girl said, well, they have soccer tryouts this week. So I got the encyclopedia and read up of how to play soccer. And I went and tried out that week and made the soccer team. And I loved it. I loved it.
That is awesome. I cannot relate. I tried out for softball when I was in like 10th grade and I got about 30 minutes into tryouts and I was like, it's too hot. I'm sweaty. I don't like this. And I went home. That was the extent of my sports. But that's super impressive. So now, and you're married. Do you have kids, grandkids?
I have a few kids. That's a whole nother story.
Yeah. Okay. And where are you living right now?
Right now, I'm in Honeyville.
Okay. So that is just north of Ogden, right?
Yes.
Isn't that over?
By Brigham City. It's by Brigham City.
Crystal Hot Springs is kind of
that's in Honeyville.
Right? Okay. been there. I know that. Very, very cool. I always wondered if they said Honeyville or Honeyville. Like I know
Honeyville.
Utah's okay. Utah can be weird with names. I'm just saying. They don't like to say hurricane. They say hurricane, and that's not.
It is hurricane.
I know. But in Florida, it's hurricane.
There are things that are interesting here.
Yep, exactly.
Awesome. Well, Jen, we're excited to hear your story. You're going to tell us about some experiences you had in the temple. Is that right?
Well, and some things that happened. It's been interesting.
Leading up to the temple too, right?
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
The first person that brought me into going to the temple, herself was very blessed that she was a ball player and she was playing college ball, but her parents had moved into our ward. And so I kind of knew the family. And so we ended up, when she was off from playing college ball, I go and play basketball every week. A bunch of women would get together and go play basketball every week. And so this one week, I thought of Tristan, who just came home. I'm like, we need to have Tristan come and play ball with us. So Tristan came and played basketball with us. And it was they're amazing. Their family is amazing. And Tristan is amazing. And seriously, she's the one who got me into the temple first. I don't know if she realizes how important and how huge it was for what she did, because I was using a walker at that time. And I went in to into Relief Society, and Tristan was like, let's go to the temple. And I'm like, are you serious? I'm there. And so Tristan is the reason I started going into and this was years ago. So Tristan started taking me every week to the temple, and I was doing her family names at that time. And it was such a blessing. It was so much peace in being there at the temple. And it meant so much to me. So for a while, Tristan and I went to the temple every week. Nice. And then all of a sudden, I met her husband she has now. They were dating at that time, and he would come and visit me too at my house. And I'm like, he was such a nice guy. And I'm like, I love it, Tristan. You're doing so good. Very spiritual person. So then they got married and they moved. And then I was in the Stake Young Women's presidency, and the lady who was the president had asked me to be her first counselor, and we didn't know each other.
Gotcha. And
after that, it was like the connection. I wasn't getting around well after that, but then her and I started going into the temple each week.
Okay.
Okay.
Can I ask real quick? You mentioned you weren't able to get around much.
I have multiple sclerosis.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Wow. So that inhibits your ability to walk.
Yeah.
Easily and just move in general, right? And it's painful. Is that correct?
Luckily, it hasn't been.
Really?
Luckily, it hasn't been, but my vision, I'm losing vision.
Oh.
And I don't like that, but there's a lot I'm learning from that.
Yeah.
So this other lady takes me to the temple each week.
Oh. Wow.
And I was doing her family names. And then I started getting my family names, a lot of the baptisms done for those that I just felt like I needed to get those names. And then my brother set up, because there's a family names, and my brother set it up to where all of the siblings and the family could go on to the names within our ancestors to get
Nice.
work done.
That's nice.
And I was like, wow, there are so many names that need to be done. So I've been taking family names in. There was, when her and I were going, then I was starting to get weaker, and I thought, I'm not going to make it to the temple. But okay, first, before that happened, I went in early in the morning and went to the bathroom, and I come out. I'm not one who falls asleep real quick. And I laid down, and all of a sudden, I went into a different realm. And my dad was there talking to me.
Wow.
And I was like, wow. And as I sat there, I was watching him and I was hearing him, but I never saw him open his mouth. I heard him the whole time. And he was pretty much saying, you let all of my family know I'm here and I'm watching over them. And they need to listen. And they need to stay close to the Spirit. I was just like, wow. And then I thought he died that night. My mom says, no, he's not dead. He just sleeps all the time right now. And I said, he's not just sleeping all the time. And then he was gone by the next morning. And
Wow.
it was like, wow, I had chills. Seriously, that night when it happened, I did not sleep the whole night. It was seriously, I sat there and thought, I didn't say anything to him. I said nothing. And all of a sudden I hear my dad again, and he says, did you see me talk to you? No. And I was like, wow. But he heard what was in my head and those things that I was thinking when I was hearing him and he was talking to me. I said nothing, but the message I got was, he heard you. He heard your message.
That's interesting. We've had a couple guests who have had similar experiences where they've talked about communication with someone else on the other side of the veil, either like during a coma that they were in, or if they had a near-death experience. And they said kind of the same thing, like that you didn't have to actually say anything to know what the other person was thinking. And even to the point where it was like, there was no question or no miscommunication. It was like complete coherent understanding.
It was just talking to each other, but you don't have
exactly
to speak.
what it was. Yeah. Wow. So what happened after that, after your dad passed?
Well, I told my brothers on the way home, or on the way to the next day when he had died. Then my brothers picked me up from Utah to take me to Idaho. And I was like, I just had chills all over still. And I was like, oh, Dad came to me last night. He came and he talked to me. And I told them, and they were like, so then when we get to my mom's house, they were like, well, did he have his gray hair? Did he have any hair? And I was like, he did. He did not have gray hair. He didn't. And then when we got to my mom's house, and my mom showed me a picture of the way when my dad and mom were married, I didn't know my dad had hair then. But I was like, yeah, that's what he looked like.
Wow.
That was who came. Wow. And he's here for all of us, and we need to listen to him. So the random that happened was, okay, many random things happened. They weren't, okay, I really shouldn't use the word random, because my friend and I talk about that all the time and say, we always hear people say the random things but they're spiritual things.
Mm.
Miracles happen.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't going to go to the temple with her that week because I wasn't getting around well, because I use the walker to get around to take you in the wheelchair. I'm kind of a stubborn person. I'm not asking those kind of things. And I hear again, ask your friend to take you in the wheelchair. I was like, okay, don't push it off. So I called my friend and said, okay, I was going to cancel on you for today's or for tomorrow's, but I keep feeling like I need to ask you about if we can take a wheelchair. And she goes, oh, I do that for my mom all the time.
Aw.
And I was like, wow, okay. And since then, we go in the wheelchair into the temple.
Mhm.
And it's like me needing to learn to listen and act upon those things. Don't push off just because it's difficult. Don't push it off. If you feel it, act on it.
Mhm.
So, her and I go into the temple each week. And, I'm kind of a stubborn person who likes everything just to go easy. And I had a group of names. My dad, his mother is the McGinty, and the McGinty line was what I had been working on. And we had been going in getting the McGinty. Well, I've been getting the McGinty's done. And I thought I got them all done. And we go into the temple. And when I got done, we go into the celestial room and I'm just crying. And she's like, was that the last of your McGinty's? And I said, yes. And she goes, they must be happy. And I said, I'm not feeling that. I am not feeling that. So when I got home, I did not feel at peace. And I called the lady in our ward who does family names. And I said, okay, I need you to check the McGinty families on this line. I need you to see if that was the last one. And the lady calls me back and says, all of it's been done except for one sister has nothing done.
Wow.
Wow.
I was just like, okay, then that's the one I'm doing next. And I seriously did not feel at peace until I got hers done.
Wow.
And it was so interesting how I assumed it was, and when I was crying, it was not a feeling of accomplishment. It was a feeling of, you're not done.
Mhm.
So the blessing came that I sent the name to my brother and said, have your daughter get this name done and send it to this family group thing now.
Right.
And it was, when it got done, I felt so much more peace.
Wow.
And it was such a feeling of peace. And so it was just, it's so important for those names. They want their work done.
Mhm.
And for my dad to tell me then when we went back to the temple, and then I was going through, and all of a sudden that's when I heard my dad again. And he said, this is your mission. This is your mission. This is the work that needs to be done. I'm over here teaching them. I was like, I would do it for my dad. My dad grew up in a family that his parents joined the church and they both fell away from the church. My dad ended up having someone in his ward that took him to church and brought him to church each week.
Wow.
And my dad ended up going in the military, and he was in the military for a while, and then he came back, and that's when he met my mom. and they were married. And my dad became a seminary teacher.
Wow.
And that meant everything to him.
Oh,
That's awesome.
that is awesome. Wow. So how long ago was this that this happened? Was it recently or a few years?
It was years ago.
Years ago. Okay, gotcha. So since then, how has your temple attendance and the work that you've done for your ancestors, how is that going? How has that looked?
To me, it's been very interesting because I'm going to do these names. And then all of a sudden, I know that's not the name. This is the name I have to take today.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Interesting.
Wow. That's really cool.
And it's like, I don't know, a feeling of peace that comes when they're completed all the way.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And how do you feel that this temple work has helped, like, strengthen your testimony or your has it helped your family at all, like with their testimonies? Or
I don't know that it has my family. That's a continual prayer. Continual
Okay.
prayer. Hopefully they learn from it, because I've had quite a few of my kids who have left the church.
Yeah.
But there was a day, and this was one thing that I didn't think I was going to talk about, but I was just laying there looking out the window, and all of a sudden I heard Christ. And he said, "When I come, they will know me. You have taught them."
Wow. Wow.
And I was like, such a feeling of peace that I was like, thank you. I needed to hear that, because I have taught them. Does that mean they're going to get it? No. But will they remember him? Yes, they will.
Wow.
That's
So-
awesome. I think people needed to hear that. So I appreciate you sharing that, Jen.
For sure. I'm curious. Do you often go to the temple by yourself, like without your family? I know you go with a friend.
I can't, because I can't drive. I can't see.
Right. So do you have
So-
family that goes with you too, or is it mostly just you and your friend?
Me and my friend, and then our ward has been doing a temple night.
Nice.
And there's another lady in our ward that I've connected with from years ago. And I'd say this month, her and her husband come and pick me up. And she understands, because when my friend hasn't been able to go, this other lady has gone in with me and brings me in. And she knows how to get me in with the wheelchair and everything. And she is everything. She is like, she's got it and she'll be there.
The reason I was asking is just because I know when I first started attending the temple, I didn't have family at all that could go to the temple with me. And I kept hearing all of these stories of how much peace you would have and how, like all these people had all these experiences. And so I had been expecting all of that. But it was almost like a bittersweetness. Like I was so grateful to be there, and I felt this calm, and I knew that what I was doing was right. But there were times where I would feel so sad because my family wasn't there. Like I remember just being like looking off to the side and not having a husband with me, or not having, my siblings that could go with me, or my parents or whatever else. And I struggled a lot with that for years and years before my husband joined the church. I struggled with, how do I feel those feelings in the temple when the temple's main purpose is connecting family, and I don't have any family that I'm able to connect with? So, but I was just thinking about this. I never brought any names to the temple with me of my own. I always just did whatever names
You
were there.
would love it.
What I was going to say, which I think, of course it's a beautiful thing, and they all need to be done. And essentially we're all family, but I wonder how my temple experience could have been different if I brought my own family with me.
It makes a difference.
I was wondering about that, because you just have this peace about you, and I'm like, something's clicking in my head. Like maybe this is part of the reason why we do our family history and why we bring our own names to the temple, is so that we can partake in that bigger feeling of peace and purpose.
Yes.
That's really interesting. My mom is a hardcore, now she goes to the temple all the time. She loves it. And she's a hardcore, like she has all the family history. So I'm just like, good job, mom. She does all the work. I don't do any of the work. And even with all the work, I still don't bring names to the temple. I'm just like, nope, we'll just show up and I'll just go and pick whoever.
Okay, you need to get her to do the family group one. Because the lady I go with, I told her about it and she got it set up with her family. And then you can have it listed of who needs baptisms, who needs initiatory, who needs what done.
Okay. So I'm not even familiar with this.
The family can do that together? Like, can you tell us a little more about that?
Yeah.
Okay, if you go in and there's the temple, there's a temple family. And if you do the temple family, my brother was the one who set it up. And he has to okay each person to get in. You have to be cleared by this person who is overseeing it, which was my brother. So he would have to push an okay for those people that he wanted in to it. So we have quite a few family members that are now on it. And I had a specific name that I'm like, nope, I need to print this name off right now. So I just printed off a couple names that I'll be taking in because they were not the ones that I was thinking of taking when I go, and they will be my ones I'm taking this week and next week.
That sounds so cool. So I had to look it up real quick. So it's through FamilySearch.org, and it looks like they have, if you go to the website, they have up on the accounts, they have family groups, and it looks like you can set that up that way.
Yes.
We'll have to put a link in the description to this little article that I just found.
Yes, because it is
so great.
My brother doing that. It was like that. I mean, my brother and I switch names that in the mail, we'd mail them to each other. And I was like, this is so nice.
That is so cool. And I can imagine that could even be, I mean, just because I'm competitive, right? It could be kind of fun. Like, ooh, look how many I did.
See, you know what? I like that you're competitive.
I'm going to get that one first. I think sometimes we just need a little family competition. No. That is a really cool feature. I love how the church is continually like taking advantage of technology that we have available today and just creating so many good resources for us.
Yes.
I mean, this is fantastic. I might actually bring some of my own family names to the temple.
It does make a big difference.
Yeah.
It really does. And it's not because you know the person. I mean, I knew it was a McGinty, and I know I'm doing a lot of McGinty, but it was beyond that. It was like, why am I crying? And my friend said, they must be happy. And I said, I'm not feeling that.
Yeah.
And it was so nice to find out there was one more girl that had nothing done.
Wow.
Yeah, what a cool story. My question's not on that topic, but it's about going to the temple with just like having a disability.
Yes.
I'm wondering if people don't go because they're afraid of how it would work. If they'll be able to get around, if there's going to be people there to help them. Can you maybe share a little bit of your experience?
Okay. There's been a few times that I've gone in with my husband to seal a family and stuff that I have gone in my temple dress. Mm-hmm. Because it's too hard for me to get around and to go and change and stuff. So when my husband and I have gone, I go already with my temple dress on. And I go and then I use the wheelchair. Usually people will help you at that point. There's people there that will help in getting you in if you need to.
Right.
And seriously, when we go at the very last of the rows, there's one place that you can have a little extra space, and that's where the wheelchair goes. Okay. And there's space. The church has got it set up so nice and so smooth.
Mm-hmm.
that you could do it. And it may be hard. It might be hard at first. But you know what? Miracles happen. It will come together.
Mm-hmm.
If you feel that you should, then act upon it.
Do you feel like going to the temple has helped you physically at all in regards to your disability, or is it more of like a mental and spiritual help?
Mental and spiritual.
Yeah.
But that's where the blessing is. You know, people getting through things is hard. It's not fun when life is trial and trial. Okay. I will tell you what happened when I went to the temple 2 weeks ago. I cried like no other again.
Aww.
Not comfortable with crying. I'm not a crier that likes this.
We're really pushing you out of your comfort zone, huh?
Yes, you are. So I went up and I had to give a name, and I had it the whole time. And then when it was time for me to go up, it was completely gone. Nothing. And I was like, I had it. And I was like, okay, I need to accept help from the lady at the veil. And I did. And it was awful. I didn't want help. I knew it. And I think it was, no, you need to learn. Because then after I got done, and then we went into the celestial room, and I was just bawling. Because what I heard when I left was, you need to accept help from others.
Yeah.
That is not what I want to hear. So that's my learning experience, that I need to be willing to accept help.
That's hard. It's hard to accept help.
Yes.
Sometimes, you know?
Yeah.
But it was interesting. The next Sunday, when that was still in my head, my husband just got out of surgery. He wasn't going to be into church. Nobody else was going into church. And all of a sudden it came to my head again, accept help from others. So I called my home teacher and said, can you and your wife pick me up on the way to church?
Aww.
That was tough.
Yeah.
But it's me having to learn that you need to be willing to accept help from others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, my brain is similar to yours. I don't really like asking for help.
We got it all.
But I do it. It's more of like no, like I don't want anyone else to do anything because I want it done my way. So I have a really hard time letting go of control. Right. But I was thinking about it. I'm like, I know how many times I've been blessed by being able to help other people out. And sometimes, for example, I have a friend of mine, her name is Ro, and she recently passed away. And she had Lou Gehrig's. And so she became very, very wheelchair bound, and a lot of her muscles locked up. And towards the end, she came and stayed with us for a short period of time. And I never experienced having to take care of anybody and having to actually help lift them up into the wheelchair and out of the wheelchair. And especially when she was her body's fighting against itself. It was like anytime she wanted to put her arm out, it would just pull back in. So it was really, really difficult in trying to get her comfortable. And I thought about it, and I thought, I'm so glad that she trusted me to be able to help her for a short time, because it not only helped me know more deeply like what she was going through, but I feel like it put me in a position where I then was able to gain more knowledge on how to help. That was something I'd never done before. And then on top of that, I got to watch my husband and my kids and even my parents, they were staying with me at the time. I got to see how they were able to help, things like my son, Ro loved music. And so my son, he was just just learning how to play the guitar, and he only knew one song. and and so once we would get her into bed and everything like that, she would just ask, oh, can Nate come and play that song on the guitar? It was the same song every night, and he would take his guitar and he would fumble through, and we would just like put her to, it was like a lullaby, just putting her to sleep. And it was such a sweet, tender experience. And
Wow.
I loved being able to see the way that happened. And then my oldest son, he was so much stronger than me and taller. And so it was easier for him to navigate lifting her up. And for a teenage boy, it can be very uncomfortable helping a woman to go to the bathroom. But I couldn't do it by myself. And there were times where it was just him and I at home. And so we had to cross that line where it was so uncomfortable for us because we didn't know what we were doing. But it was so wonderful as a mom to be able to watch him push past those comfort boundaries himself, knowing that he was doing something that could help. And so I do know how hard it is, but I also know the blessings of serving and that gift of being able to ask to be served. They are so widespread.
You went with the Spirit. There was a reason why you needed to be there, and you acted on it.
Yeah. And I don't think we'll know all the reasons or all the ways that that service has helped us until we cross over to that next realm and we actually have the ability to fully comprehend like people's emotions and experiences and the feelings that we have. But yeah, I just think I'm so grateful that you shared that part with us, because I do think that a lot of the times we feel like we're a burden, and we're really not. It's a blessing in every sense of the word. It is a blessing to be able to serve others.
Yeah.
What's interesting about that is in our old ward, Alicia, it felt like there was a lot of people that needed help, right?
Yeah.
So I felt like that was part of who not who I was, but like it gave me some purpose to feel needed. But in my new ward, it's hard because people are a lot more independent. So I really struggled when I moved here to where I live now, because I felt like there was almost like this need to help others, but there wasn't really much to do.
Like
and
they were
I
too
felt
functional.
kind of lost. Yeah. And so I've had to look for ways to help people. But yeah, it's just interesting, different times of life and different places and things. But
yeah,
there is a need to help people. If we don't give them that opportunity, they miss out on those opportunities, and they have that longing to help that's not fulfilled, which is something that we don't normally think about.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
Even
through hard things, we have to have our focus be on, because that's where right now the thought that keeps coming into my head is recognize the blessings. They may not be, I'm running around and I can do it. No, there are blessings. And when you stop to be aware of them and recognize them, that in itself is a blessing, to recognize the blessings around you.
Yeah.
That's
it kind of
nice.
makes
I like that, Jen. Yeah,
it makes me think of President Nelson's recent talk at conference where he said to think celestial. I think that's a very celestial thing to do, is to, like Scott was saying, seek for ways to serve, but also to have that perspective of blessings, like where are the blessings and how can I see them in an unconventional way, where it's not just like the most evident of them, but how can this be a blessing to so many other people, so.
Well, Jan, it's been amazing having you on the show and hearing some of your stories and your experiences about the temple. Is there anything that you'd like to share as we wrap up? Any last thoughts or spiritual experiences you'd like to leave the viewers with today?
The only thing I can think of, if you find family names, bring them in. If you don't, there are others waiting to have their work done. Be in and get work done for them.
Yeah, I love that. That's awesome. And yeah, if you're lonely going to the temple, bring your family with you, whether they're alive or dead. Right?
Well, I
If you
think
can't
It's
get-
interesting
Right? You
how they
can't get the
just
living
happen
ones with
to
you,
come
just go
up.
grab the
Like
dead
the
ones.
one I have a couple that my husband need to cut for me that I'm like, I don't know why. Those weren't the ones I was doing next.
Yeah.
But they are now.
I think another lesson out of this episode is if you don't feel like you can go to the temple, ask somebody for help,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
And that's where if you get the family name thing set up, it's set up for others in your family to take those names in also.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really excited about looking that up. I'm gonna have to call my mom and be like, hey. Here you go. Let us help you
Yep.
out. Nice. Oh, well, Jan, it has been such a delight having you on. You have such a sweet spirit about you. And I'm so glad that you were open with us about your experiences and your trials. And of course, with the blessings that you've received from being able to, bring your family names to the temple and to do that work. And I think that there's a whole lot of little mini lessons in your story. And so I'm really grateful to you for just listening to the spirit and reaching out to us, even though it was really scary and really uncomfortable, and being willing to share.
And I would like to say there was one guy a couple weeks ago when he bore his testimony. He went to the temple for the first time and took his father adopted him, and he took his name in and got it done. And I said that in itself is doing missionary work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Totally.
absolutely.
Well, thanks again, Jan. And thank you everyone for tuning in and hearing Jan's story today. We really appreciate you being here. And like we said, if you have a story and you're afraid or hesitant to share it,
please do.
take Jan's example and just go on to latterdaylights.com and shoot us a message, because the things that Jan shared are important and people need to hear those things. And everybody has a story, and your story is important. And if you don't share it, then it's only with you, right? Or with the people immediately around you that benefit from it. Where this platform, Latter-day Lights, is really a platform to get that story out to as many people as we can, so we can share light and enlighten and lift everyone, as many people as we can. So take her example, get out there, share the story, and let's have you on the show.
Yes.
All right, guys. Well, be sure that you guys let us know what your favorite part of the show was today. If you guys had any questions or comments or experiences of your own that you would like to kind of share with us, that would be great. That's another great way of sharing light, is even just through commenting and clicking that little share button, doing your 5-second missionary work. So with that, we will have another episode of Latter-day Lights for you guys next week. We hope everyone has a beautiful week. And Jan, thank you again for coming on here. We really appreciate you.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks.
All right, guys. We'll see you next Sunday. Have a good one.
Take care.